Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our first webinar on Tiger Trade's desktop application. For today's live stream, I would like to show you guys what we have done over the past year for our desktop application and how you can use it to assist more advanced investing. Now let's take a minute here to review what we have on the plate. For part one, I will talk about how to use the built-in charting tool on desktop to review long-term stock trends. For part two, I will demonstrate how you can set up charts with multiple time frames to find potential short-term opportunities. For part three, I will set up another chart layout to compare stocks in the same sector and find out differences. For part four and part five, I will go over to option analysis and flash trade function on futures. There's a lot on schedule today, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's take Apple as our example today. I will type in AAPL in the search box and the chart should display Apple now. The overview looks good. Looks like Apple always pushes for higher peaks, historically speaking, and now it has pulled back from its highest point around 183 early this year. There have been lots of carnages in the market these days. We don't really know what's going on. Now, suppose we want to incorporate moving average to potentially give us more technical insight. As many of you already knew, moving average is calculated to represent the average closing price of the market over a specified period of time. Investors often make use of moving average as it can be a good indication of the current market momentum. Now, since we're discussing long-term stock trends, I want to add a MA250 because there are roughly 250 trading days in 1 year. What we can do is hover over and click on the settings here, and I will change the 240 to 250 for the showcase. And I will unselect the ones that does not serve our mission today. And click confirm. You can always double check on the top left side to see if the colors and the numbers are correct. Now, as we can see here, let me just zoom in here. As you can see now, Apple has now dropped below MA250 May 9th this year, which is about 3 weeks ago. In addition, during this period of stock price going up, we could draw a bullish trend line. Click on the trend line here, and I will place it around September 2020. Now, it is clear from the trend line that shares of Apple has broken down the bullish trend line as well, almost resembling the MA250. Now, given those two signals, we could probably say that the trading action of Apple now has the bears in control, which mirrors the broader market over the past couple of weeks. Now that we see a bearish trend on the daily chart, let's take a look at the bigger picture and set the chart to weekly. I will click on weekly here. Now, from a weekly glance, Apple looks more upbeat. Here, I want to introduce another drawing tool on desktop application, which is the Fibonacci retracement tool, which I feel is a rather suitable tool in our case, and I will place it where the bullish trend line started. Now, the Fibonacci retracement levels are those horizontal lines that are commonly used to indicate where the support and the resistance are likely to occur. Now, here with the toolbox, we can customize the styles and the parameters. We have a lot in the preset. 0.5 is not exactly a Fibonacci number. A lot of people use it anyways, or you can adjust the numbers to fit your handbook of trading. For now, I will just keep the most common ones and click on confirm. Let's zoom in here. As we know, normal cases are if the stock price dropped down at 61.8 level, which is a Fibonacci number, we would consider that the stock price has pulled back to a solid support level and the price may struggle to drop. Now, if we are believers of Apple and assume Apple will continue to rise and this temporary drawback is more of a correction rather than the start of a bearish trend, then this could be a good opportunity for buyers to enter the market. However, if the price continues to drop and goes to 120, which is at the 78.6 level, then we would consider that the price will continue to drop moving forward in theory. Now, so far we have touched base on the basics of MA and the drawing tools we have, such as the bullish trend line and the Fibonacci retracement tool. There are a lot more indicators at your disposal and a lot more drawing tools, so feel free to explore by yourself. Okay, next, I'm going to show you guys how to analyze Apple from a day trader's perspective. Now, one of the benefits of our desktop application other than mobile is the chart layout. On the desktop, we can create as many layouts as we want without interfering with the others. For example, here, I am going to create a new chart layout to further analyze Apple. And I will rename it to short-term analysis. Okay, and if you don't know what these icons do, just hover over and there should be two tips. Here I can select how many charts I want. For now, I am going to pick these two chart layout, one on the top of the other. And now since we're talking about day trading, I want to set the top chart to 5 minutes and the bottom chart to 1 hour. And I will go back and click on sync symbol, and then we are all set. Now, if I switch to any other stocks or options on the watch list, the same layout should apply. Going back to Apple. The 5 minute chart here, we will use it to determine where I enter and exit. And for the 1 hour chart, I will rely on it to see the overall trend of the day. Now, as we can see here, the technical indicators are still MA. I know a lot of day traders would prefer VWAP. I can change the 5 minute chart to VWAP. For those who don't know, VWAP stands for Volume Weighted Average Price. Unlike MA's, VWAP represents a view of price action throughout a single day's trading session. Now, if the price is above VWAP, it is considered as a good intraday price to sell. And the price is below VWAP, it is considered to be a good intraday price to buy. As for the 1 hour chart, I will change the MAs and I'll select the ones I don't want and just keep the MA5 and MA20. Now let's take a moment here to see what happened during the last trading day. As we can see here, the opening price of Apple yesterday was below the MA20, which is a negative sign in our case. And what we probably could do is open a short position at the highest point of the 5-minute chart. So another tool I want to mention here today is the rectangle tool, which I just used, as you can see, to highlight the area of your interest. Now, if I switch to a broader chart, say like a weekly chart or a daily chart, as you can see now, the rectangle looks super small and does not make any sense. Now, here I can go to settings again and click on visibility. And suppose I don't want the rectangle to be showing on anything that's longer than daily, I could unclick those ones and click confirm. Now, as we can see, the rectangle has disappeared. And if I go back to 5 minutes, just where we need it to be. And if you want the rectangle to be showing on one chart only, just click on unsync and it should disappear on the bottom chart. Now that's all about the interaction and functions you might need for intraday trading. Let's leave Apple aside and see some other stocks. Now, instead of creating a brand new layout, what we can do is we can duplicate what we have now and rename it. Let's click on make a copy, and I will name this one to stocks in one sector. And for this time, I will select a 4-chart layout. And then I want to change sync symbol to sync interval. Now, suppose I am interested in the semicon industry these days, and I've been following the SOX, which is the Philadelphia Semicon Index, and some constituent stocks such as AMD, NVIDIA, and Micron Technology. Now, to add these stocks to the new layout, you can either click on the stocks in your watch list, or you can hover over and click edit on the symbols, which turns into a search box, and you can type in the stocks you want here. Now let's change the time frame to daily. As you can see here, since we already set them to sync intervals, whenever I change the time frame on one chart, the rest should refresh altogether. Okay, now let me show you how to change the technical indicators here. The indicator here still says VWAP. For the demonstration, I will change it to Bollinger Band. However, you can change it to any indicators you prefer. Now, I want you to pay special attention here and notice that only one chart has Bollinger Band applied. If we want Bollinger Band to be showing on all charts, we can double-click inside and click on Sync Indicators to all charts. Now, let's take a look at the price. From what I can read from SOX, the price of the index almost touches the upper band, so does NVIDIA and Micron Technology and AMD. Now, it's rather unclear where these stocks would go. However, out of these 3 stocks, I will pick AMD if I want to do some swing trading in this sector, as AMD looks stronger than the rest. Now that we have a target stock, what we can do is take AMD to the chart we used for Apple, which is the short-term analysis, and change it from Apple to AMD. And follow steps we did already and find out where to enter and exit. So far, we have talked about some features that are tailored for stocks. Next, let's take a step up and look at some options. Okay, going back to Apple again, and let's click on options. Now the option chain here displays all the options by expiration date, and on top of it shows the IV, the IV percentile, HV, and corporate ratio. Now the IV percentile measures the implied volatility versus its past values. It measures how many of the past values are lower than current ones. Even though the IV we see here is 38, it is still higher than 84% of Apple's IV over the past year. Option sellers usually pay more attention to high IV, as higher IV leads to a higher premium. Now, suppose we are going to sell a call option 2 weeks from now. Let's find a expiration that's close to 2 weeks, which is June the 17th. Now, I want you guys to pay special attention on the numbers besides IV in those parentheses, which is the expected move, and what it does, it tells us how volatile the stock price might be in 2 weeks. Now that we have decided on a date, let's figure out the strike price. Given that Apple is going to fluctuate between negative 8.49 and positive 8.49, and considering the current price 146, which adds up to 155. So if I am going to sell a call option, I will find a price that's around 150, and the premium and the option price now is 75 cents times 100, which gives us $75 of premium. Now, as we mentioned before, Apple has broken down the 152 support level now, and it constructs a resistance. That being said, technically, it won't be so easy for Apple to stand upon 152. Therefore, our call price, our strike price here is pretty safe. Now, let's dive into the call option we just picked and click on analysis here. And I will change the direction from buy to sell, since we're selling options. And so does the expiration date. Now, from the P&L chart, the max returns and the probability of profit is automatically calculated for you. And so does the break-even point, which states as the P&L point on the chart. It is at 155.15 now, meaning that unless the shares of Apple rally above this break-even point, we will make a profit nevertheless. Now, assume I'm not gonna wait around till it expires and I want to secure my profit and get my margins rolling. I can pick a date a week before or any days that you prefer before the expiration date, and you should get a new break-even point automatically. Now, besides calculating break-even points and max returns and the probability of profit, the chart also has the option grids embedded, such as gamma, theta, vega, and delta. Option grids measures the sensitivity of option price in regards to its underlying determining parameters, such as volatility and the price of underlying asset. Now, going back to the chart, as you may notice already, the stock price probability range can be appended on top of any chart. The default range shows the probability of one standard deviation, and you can drag and pinch however you like. Now let's assume that I have sold this call option already. What we can do is create a multiple layout again, and I will rename it to Apple Options. I will select a two-chart layout. Now, with this setup, we can monitoring Apple stock and Apple options at the same time. And if the stock price of Apple is moving close to the break-even point when market opens, we can exit quickly here to avoid any potential loss. This is really nice because you can never do this on any mobile apps. Now that's all about options. Next, let's take a look at flash trade function on futures. Finally, let's move on to futures. You can keep the layout for stocks if you use the same indicators and same settings. If not, you already know how to create a new one. Now, placing order here is very straightforward with the flash order function. To open a position, you can set the number of contracts before making any actions just to save trouble when you actually spot a chance. Now, for limit orders, as you can see, we have a list of prices here, and you can select the price you want and click on confirm. If your orders are not filled yet, you should see it on the orders column. Now, if your orders are not filled yet, you can always click on it if you want to cancel, or you can use the cancel buy, cancel sell, or cancel off. As you see, the orders are moving really fast. Now, for market orders, click on those red and green buttons. One is for long and the other one for short. This pair should be very hard to miss. And if you like to close out what you have now and open an opposite position, you can always rely on the reverse function so that you don't have to do it in two separate orders. In the market of derivatives, time is key. Okay, I think I've got everything I plan to talk about today. Let's wrap up and review what happened during the past 20 minutes. First, we learned how to utilize the charting tools to review long-term stock trends. As for part 2 and part 3, we create two types of chart layout for different purposes. One is for short-term analysis, and the other one we use to pick a target stock out of the semicon industry. As for part 4, we moved from stocks to options, and I gave you guys a rundown of the option chains, the IVs, P&L chart, And last but not least, we've got a sense of how flash trade works from part 5, which is a very, very powerful instrument for trading derivatives. So that's all about today's demo. That's all about today's demo. Thank you again for joining me today. And make sure you follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Happy trading. I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.